Hey friends, my name is Z and you're watching MakesItEasy. And welcome to the last video for section 4 for IGCSE Business Studies, and in our next lesson, we'll move on to section 5. But anyways, here's 4.4 for location decisions. And by the end of the lesson, you should be able to describe 4.4.1, the main factors influencing the location and the relocation decisions of a business, which includes these sub-specification, like factors relevant to the location decisions for manufacturing and services, factors that a business could consider when deciding which country, the role of legal controls, and recommend and justify an appropriate location for a business in given circumstances. So check out the pinned comment for all the timestamps, and don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to me and ring the notification bell. But we'll move on to 4.4.1, the main factors influencing the location and relocation decisions. And here's the location of the industry. The geographical location of a business is usually considered either when the business is first setting up or when its present location proves unsatisfactory for some reason. The business environment is constantly changing, and the business's objective, like for example expansion or increasing profits, may result in the location no longer being suitable. And the business may decide to look for an alternative site, or may decide to set up an additional factories or shops, either in the home country or abroad. Many businesses operate on a large scale and consider location globally, not just on a national or continental level. And this is a feature of globalization because businesses will plan many aspects of their operations like location, marketing and sales on a global scale. Factors affecting where a manufacturing business chooses to locate may be different to those factors which affect where a service sector business will set up. And so these are discussed separately, even though some issues are common to both. And we'll start with factors affecting the location of a manufacturing business. And here are the factors that affect the location of a manufacturing business, which includes number 1, production methods. If job production is used, then the business is likely to be on a small scale, and so the influence of the nearness of the components. And if flow production is used on a large scale, then the location of a component suppliers might be the greater importance. Number 2, the market. If the product perishes quickly and needs to be fresh when delivered to the market, like milk, the factory might be located close to its retail outlets. Number 3, raw materials or components. And it's often cheaper to locate on an ore processing factory near to the mining site. And if many of these component suppliers are located near to one another, it might be preferable to locate near to these suppliers. And if the raw materials need to be processed quickly while still fresh, locating near a raw material source is still important. And then we have external economies of scale. Local education establishments like universities might have research departments that work with the business on developing new products, and being in close contact may help the business to be more effective and to get more brains. And then we have availability of labor. If particular skilled labor is needed, it may be easier and cheaper to recruit these employees if the business sets up in an area where people with the relevant skills live. Then we have government influence. When the government wants to encourage businesses to locate in a particular area, it will offer state-funded grants to encourage firms to move there. However, the government influence might be negative in that there might be regulations or restrictions on what businesses can do. Then we have transport and communications. And where the product is for export, the ability to easily get to a port will be important. So it might be to a port or to an airport. Then we have power and water supply. To some industries, having a reliable source of power and therefore no regular power cuts may be essential. Water is also needed for the heating or cooling purposes in a power station. Then being a river will be important to get the water source as well as for transport. And lastly, for climate, this will not influence most manufacturing businesses, but occasionally climate might be important. Then we have factors affecting the location of a service sector business. And here are the factors. Number 1, customers. Locating a service center business near its customers will be very important for certain type of services, and these are usually services where direct contact between business and customer is required. Number 2, personal preference of the owners. Business owners can influence where to locate the service center. They often locate near the business to where they live. Number 3, technology. Some services are now conducted by telephone or via the internet, and the service businesses can locate anywhere and therefore choose to locate on the outskirts of the cities or even in remote areas if their focus is on online. And they may move to other states of the country if there's lower taxes there or any other benefits. Then here's availability of labor. If a service business requires a large number of employees, then it cannot locate in remote areas. It has to locate near to a large town or city. For climate, hotels often need to locate themselves where the climate is good and near to a beach. And then we have near to other businesses. Some services serve the needs of large businesses, such as firms that service equipment found in large companies, and they will need to be nearby to respond quickly to a call to repair equipment. Then lastly, here's rent or taxes. If the service doesn't need to be on the main streets in the town or city like doctors or dentists, then the business will locate on the outskirts of the town to benefit from lower rent and lower taxes, as I mentioned. Then here's factors affecting the location of a retailing business. Number 1, we have shoppers. If a retailer sells expensive goods, then it needs to be in an area where people on high income might visit. Number 2, nearby shops. There may be many competitors nearby, and this could be bad for the business. And number 2, we have nearby shops. And there may be many competitors nearby, and this could be bad for the business, but it can also be a positive situation. And if the businesses sell clothes, then being located near many clothes shops encourage people to visit the area, as there's a lot of choice, therefore increasing business. Number 3, customer parking. Where parking is convenient and near to the shops, it will encourage shoppers to visit the area and therefore possibly increase sales. Number 4, we have availability of suitable vacant premises. If a suitable vacant shop or premises is not available for purchase or rent, the business may not be able to locate in the area it wishes. Then we have rent or taxes. The more central the site of the premises, the higher the rent and the taxes will usually be. And if a retail area is popular, there will be high demand for the sites in this area, and therefore the cost of renting these sites will be higher, and these sites will usually be in the CBD or the central business district, where it's located in the center of any city. And then we have access for delivery vehicles. Access for delivery vehicles might be a consideration if it is very difficult for them to gain access to their premises. Then we have security. High rates of crimes such as theft and vandalism may deter a business from locating in a particular area. A shopping area which is patrolled by guards, even though it will be more expensive to rent the premises, might prove preferable. Then lastly, legislation. In some countries, there may be laws restricting the trading and marketing of goods in particular areas. Then we have factors that a business could consider when deciding in which country to operate in. A multinational or transnational companies have office, factories, service operations or shops in many countries. However, the rapid growth of newly industrialized countries or NIC, increasing international trade, improved global communications like globalization, and improvements in transport have meant that many businesses can now consider where in the world to operate rather than just considering a single country. And this is often called globalization, as I mentioned over here. And here are the factors where a business where a business will locate, which includes number 1, new markets overseas. When the business sees a steady increase in its sales overseas, it might decide to relocate nearer to these markets to reduce transportation costs. Number 2, cheaper or new source of materials. If the raw material source runs out, a business must either bring in alternative supplies from elsewhere or move to a new site in the country where it can more easily obtain these supplies. Number 3, difficulties with the labor force and wage costs. If the business is located in a country where the wage cost keeps on rising, there may come a point where the business, particularly labor-intensive businesses, decide it's more profitable to relocate overseas to reduce wage costs. So businesses or like transnational companies will typically locate their factory in LEDCs or less economically developed country because the wage cost is low over there. And then we have rent or taxes considerations. If other costs such as rent or taxes keep increasing, this might cause the business to relocate to countries where these rents or taxes are lower. Then we have availability of government grants and other incentives. Governments may want to encourage foreign businesses to locate in their country to bring in investment and job opportunities. And they do this by giving grants, lower taxes, and other incentives. And governments do this because the business will provide jobs and teach new skills and introduce technology, which in geographical terms is known as the multiplier effect. So what it is that when a factory sets up in a country, it will attract more job opportunities directly and indirectly, for example for labor costs or like other like suppliers, like transportation, like different sectors like tertiary and primary sectors or secondary sectors. And as the factory grows bigger and bigger, the real estate price around the factory will get higher, which will attract more business to come. Then like more business come and more factories locate there means more workers and more income and more businesses to set up there, and there will be higher tax revenue to invest in the business or in the country or anywhere else. And lastly, we have trade and tariff barriers. If there are trade barriers like tariffs like tax on important goods or quotas, where a limit is placed on the quantity of imports of a particular good, then locating in that country where there will be no restriction will be better. Then we have the role of legal controls on location decisions. The decisions by a firm about where to locate its business can have a very important effect on the firm's profitability, and managers will want to locate their businesses in the best possible area, taking into account factors such as cost of land, proximity to transport links and customers, availability of workers, and so on. So why do governments try to influence these location decisions? And it's usually for two main reasons. Number one, to encourage businesses to set up and expand in areas of high unemployment, and in some countries these are called development areas. Number two, to encourage firms from locating in overcrowded areas or on sites which are noted for their natural beauty. And there are two types of measures are often used by governments to influence where firms locate. Number one, planning regulations legally restrict the business activities that can be undertaken in certain areas. And in certain parts of many countries, especially in particular beautiful areas, it is not possible to establish any kind of business than farming. And essentially, it's not about allowing the businesses to build on certain areas. And number two, we have government grants or subsidies to businesses to encourage them to locate in undeveloped parts of the country. And this assistance could be in the form of financial grants, such as non-repayable amount of money paid to the business to locate there, or subsidies paid to a business like low rental factories. And these development areas which receive government assistance usually have a very high unemployment rate, and there's a great need for new jobs. Or in geographical terms as well, the governments can set up a special economic zone or special enterprise zone, the SEZ, in a certain part of the country to attract foreign companies or transnational companies or multinational companies to set up their factories over there to increase the jobs. And in those SEZ or special economic zone, there will be like lower taxes or any other incentives, or perhaps there will be like already set up infrastructure over there. Then lastly, here's 4.4 location decisions. We have some definitions, and there's no definitions for this topic right here, for this video. And that's it for this last video for IGCSE Business Studies for Section 4 for the course. And in our next lesson, we'll move on to Section 5. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this video and found it helpful. And if you did, please leave a like and subscribe and comment down below if you have any questions or criticisms. And also check out my Instagram in the description for more daily content. And don't forget to leave a like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any future videos. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, stay safe and happy learning.